Hello, Dolly. This is Ross.
Hi.
You might want to mute your microphone when you're not talking.
Okay, I will. Thank you.
Hi, Dolly.
Hey, how are you?
I'm Rebecca.
Yeah.
Good to see you.
We've started, right? And so it's real, and I can't wait to open them doors and see you guys. I want you guys all to come in and just.
Hi, everybody. Council President, you look warm and cozy.
You know, I have my thermostat set so it goes down during the day, you know, like on a timer, and it's freezing in here. There you go. I got to reset that thing and then just deal with my electric bill when it comes. It's too cold in here. But I like the hat.
Oh, thank you. Got it from Walmart. It's $5. I'm not promoting nothing, just let y'all know.
All right. Are we all ready to go? I think we have. Let me see. I see Nelsie. Is Jane in here? All right, we'll just get started anyways. Call that is City Council chambers ready? I don't hear music. I don't know if that means they're not on. Are we good? All right. Call the HRA to order. Roll call.
Brenmoen?
Here.
Jalali?
Here.
Naker?
Here.
Prince? Tao?
Here?
Tolbert?
Here.
Yang?
Here.
6 present and 1 absent, that being Commissioner Prince. Item number 1, SR 20-125 is a Business Assistance Program Guidelines Update.
Director Goodman.
Yes, thank you, Chair Tolbert and Commissioners. Can you hear me? Yes, excellent. This is just an update on an item from the last meeting. So let's see. As you know, the 2021 budget, the HRA's 2021 budget included $1,710,000 in business assistance funds, $1 million for business assistance in response to the civil uprising, businesses impacted by the civil uprising, and $710,000 to recapitalize the HRA's business assistance program. At the last meeting, at the 1014 meeting, this body approved an amendment to the 2020 budget for that amount so that we could begin assisting businesses right away. We already had guidelines in place for the $710,000 for the business assistance program, and a couple of the items I believe on today's agenda are being funded with those funds. We're still forming guidelines for the $1 million program for the businesses impacted by civil unrest, but I did tell you that at the last meeting that I would at least give you an update today on the formation of those guidelines. So just briefly, we have updated sort of our understanding of existing small business grant funds and programs in response to civil unrest. We've made calls to determine where are the gaps or needs and who is still distributing funds. We've compiled a list of the local funds and programs we are aware of. We've revisited and begun updating the research that was gathered in preparation for the request for emergency funding after the civil uprising. We plan to reach back out to community members and organizations for some high-level feedback on some key questions. And we're considering various options for the distribution of the funds, including but not limited to, for example, distributing them broadly in order to leverage existing programs, or, we could make one or two larger investments to sort of garner more visibility and spur additional fundraising. So next steps, develop sort of a list of key questions or topics needing additional feedback, consider what community engagement still needs to be done, refine our top priorities, and then we'll bring program recommendations for consideration. As far as a timeline, obviously it depends a little bit. If the more community engagement or outreach we do, the longer it will take. But we will just keep you posted and seek your input. So with that, I would take any questions or any input that you have at this point is welcomed. I know you probably don't want to spend a lot of time on this item. We have a full agenda, but that's my update.
And remind me, is there a deadline to spend the money by?
There's not a deadline. The reason why that we had done a budget amendment to try to not have to wait until next year to start spending it. But this was one that we didn't have program guidelines in place. If we can get guidelines in place and get money out the door by the end of the year, that would be great. You've authorized that. It's possible, just given that it's the end of October and we're trying to get CARES Act funds out as well. Just as realizing that there's only so much capacity, it's possible that we don't, but it's an option if we get there that fast.
Okay. And will we see those guidelines before allocations begin?
Yes. Well, I'll bring the guidelines back. Okay. Absolutely. Yes. Thank you.
Yep. Commissioner Naker.
Thanks, Chair Tolbert. Thanks, Director Goodman. It's helpful to hear how you're thinking about this. And I would just throw in there, for what it's worth, that I think I appreciate taking more time to figure out where the gaps are rather than rushing to develop guidelines, especially if we don't have to spend the funds too quickly. I mean, everything I'm hearing is that, the needs are going to last far into next year and beyond. So there's certainly there's going to be need now, and there's going to be plenty of need later on too. And I think it's just really important, sort of like the conversation our council was having at our budget committee meeting this morning with the Office of Financial Empowerment, that we just be really clear on what is not being provided by other entities that businesses really need, so that we can come in and fill the gap and not just duplicate. So I'd be really curious to find out what nobody else can do that we can do with those dollars that businesses need.
That's fair. Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner. Chair Tolbert.
Yeah, no, and I would agree with that. If we can be the last dollars, that would be, I think, the most important, so we can be around the edges where the private, the public, the nonprofit dollars come in. You guys know what I was trying to say.
Philanthropic.
All right, anybody else? Councilmember Jalali. Commissioner Jalali.
Thank you. I just wanted to ask a clarifying question looking at the guidelines. Am I correct in understanding that we are increasing incentives for the 50% AMI versus the 60% with that 275, so that we are positioning a clear stance toward more deeply affordable, recognizing 50-60 is sometimes not still nearly affordable enough for it. I want to make sure I understand that. I think that's a difference from previous guidelines, but I want to make sure I don't misunderstand.
Thank you, Commissioner. Yeah. That's actually the next item.
Oh, sorry about that.
That's okay.
This Wednesday has too much going on. My bad. Okay, I will pause. I'll come back.
You know the first question on the next item, then. Right.
The first item was just a report. It's not. There's no action required. I just had promised that I would give you an update on our efforts, because there had been a question about if we were amending the budget in order to spend the funds, but we didn't have a program in place really yet. Was that necessary? So what we decided to do was go ahead and amend the funds so that we could use them this year if we did have the opportunity or decide to put them out there before the end of 2020. So I just wanted to give you an update on where we are.
I'm a time traveler, and I asked my question from the future, so I refuse to be embarrassed. Thanks.
Okay, don't be embarrassed. There's no need. Thank you.
Right. Any other questions on this item? All right, great, awesome. I think we don't have to do we don't vote on it. So if we want to move on to item number 2, Ms. Sheldon.
Item number 2, Resolution 20-1490, approving guidelines and funding for the 2021 4D Affordable Housing Incentive Program citywide.
Director Goodman.
Yes, thank you, Chair Tolbert. Commissioners, this item is a staff recommendation for a few modifications to the 2021 guidelines for the 4D Affordable Housing Incentive Program. The goal is to deepen the impact on affordability. These modifications include a larger per unit investment of grants for units restricted at 50% of AMI. So the maximum grant is limited to $1,200 per property, which is up $200 from 2020. $75 for units with rents restricted at 60% of AMI, and here's where the increase is: $200 increase from $100 for units with rents and incomes restricted at 50%. So the bump is in that 50% of AMI, Commissioner Jolie, if that was your question.
Thank you.
And then the other piece is clarifying the provisions for non-compliance with the requirement. So in addition to with the requirement that participating units remain affordable for 10 years, in addition to the loss of a tax incentive, the participant would repay the full amount of the grant received and any out-of-pocket expenses that the HRA paid on behalf of the participant, such as application or recording fees. So it's just clarifying those provisions for non-compliance, and then trying to just further encourage the deeper affordability. The staff recommends approval of this item. Oh, you're muted.
Any questions or comments, Commissioner Naker? And then I do see Commissioner Prince as well. Go ahead, Commissioner Naker.
Thank you, Chair Tolbert. Director Goodman, I really support this program, and I think the modifications make a lot of sense. I'm just looking at the numbers, the number of units and the number of properties that we've subsidized using in 2019 and 2020 with the tax credits. Mm-hmm. And it looks like 89 units in 2020 and 70 some in 2019. Sorry, properties, not units. Just wondering, do those numbers, where do those fall with respect to our goals for this program? And what are we doing to make sure people know about it? I've been on a couple of calls with advocates where they were sort of saying, we want to see property tax incentives for keeping properties affordable. And Director Schuchman and others have said, well, we have that, but I don't know if people know about it.
Yep. I will actually turn to Director Schuchman, who's on the call, to answer those questions. Thank you, Commissioner, if that's fine.
Director Schuchman.
Thank you, Chair Tolbert, Commissioner Naker. So we are really looking to keep kind of production and number of units around the same as we've had in as last year. That feels like a really, really strong number of units to preserve in 1 year. And while the budget ask to the HRA is small, we know that there's a much bigger subsidy that is attached to this through the property tax subsidy that goes into this. So this feels like a really good target. And to the extent that we can preserve units at 50% AMI rather than 60% AMI, we're just getting a lot more for that property tax subsidy. So that's sort of my answer to the first question. In terms of getting the word out, we've really focused our marketing efforts actually on the landlords themselves rather than the advocacy community, though we certainly want everyone to spread the word. So we've partnered with the MHP, Minnesota Housing Partnership, or excuse me, MHA, the Multifamily Housing Association, to help get the word out, and are reaching out to them about including this in their newsletter, as well as Housing Link, who has a good base of small landlords. And we also have a postcard that we've done to mail information about this, our rental rehab program, which was before the HRA recently, and the Families First tenant rental assistance program. So we've been mailing to landlords and really working also through DSI to help get the word out.
Thanks. And just as a quick follow-up, I would just say I'm contemplating a e-newsletter coming up soon, and I know many of us do that. And so even though we've known about the program for some time, just a reminder that anytime you have a blurb, even if it's just a for landlords sort of shout out, that we can help promulgate the information. Really happy to help do that.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Necker.
Commissioner Prince? Commissioner Prince? You could be on mute if you're trying to talk. All right. Any other questions or comments on this matter? If not, I can't see Commissioner Prince, so I don't know if she's on her phone.
She looks like she's trying to talk, Chair Tolbert, but
Okay.
her headset maybe isn't working.
She's not one of my 9 boxes. Okay. All right. I'm sure if you have questions, Commissioner Prince, we can get those followed after the meeting. I suspect everybody supports this program. But all right. Is she still trying to talk?
No, I think she's saying it's fine.
Okay.
I'm reading the link, body language.
All right. How about a motion to approve this by Commissioner Jalali? All right. Roll call.
Brenmoen,
Aye.
Jalali,
Aye.
Naker,
Aye.
Prince,
Is technical
Lost her.
difficulties a new category?
Tao,
Aye.
Yang,
Aye.
Chair Tolbert,
Yes.
6 in favor, no one opposed. The resolution is adopted.
Right.
Item number 3, Resolution 20-1491, approving and authorizing a waiver of the maximum per unit subsidy for 4 properties under the Inspiring Communities Program, Districts 5, 6, and 9, Wards 2 and 5.
Director Goodman.
Thank you, Chair Tolbert, Commissioners. Just to take you back a little bit, in 2016, the HRA Board recognized that some of the remaining properties in the HRA's Inspiring Communities inventory might require gross subsidy in excess of the established limit due to things like soil conditions, buried foundations, increase in materials and labor costs, historic considerations, those type of things. So the maximum gross subsidy cap per unit is $175,000. This item relates to several properties that do need subsidy in excess of that cap for reasons such as those listed above. I'll just quickly kind of go through them, and we do have a couple of people on the line if you do have questions who are here, not to necessarily speak, but if you have questions. 69 Garfield Street is, these are all single family homes. The 69 Garfield is the largest exception to the normal cap. And this is one that during the environmental and historic review was found to be eligible for listing on the historic register. So that does trigger certain rehabilitation standards, which require more of a subsidy. After accounting for the purchase price subsidy on this one, the total gross subsidy would be $220,659.02. 947 Sylvan, also a single family property. This one, the costs are higher due to a lack of property utility connection in the public street, and also related to an encumbrance for an access easement that serves which serves the surrounding properties. Total gross subsidy on this one would be $194,576.27. 964 Woodbridge, another single family home. Well, on this one, during geotechnical analysis, it was discovered that the soils were not structurally suitable for the development as planned. So design had to be modified, piers had to be used, which are considerably expensive. So the gross subsidy here, $194,867.17. And finally, 716 DeSoto Street, also a single family home. This one, during excavation, there was the presence of debris left over from the demolition of the home previously on site. So just a bit over. Due to those unforeseen costs, staff proposes a total gross subsidy of $183,469. Staff does recommend approval of this item. Again, Director Shookman is on the line if you have questions, and a couple of the homeowners as well.
Commissioner Prince?
Yeah, let's try it again. Can you hear me now?
We can now. Wow.
I lost the
Welcome
headphones. Thanks. I'm very supportive of this. I was here 4 years ago with 7 properties in my ward that exceeded the subsidy level. And that was when we raised the subsidy to 175. And then they still exceeded the subsidy level, being historic properties. And some members of this council were not interested in providing a waiver at that time, despite the staff support for it. I just need to point that out, not that I have a chip on my shoulder or anything. I support the waiver, but I also would support raising the Inspiring Communities subsidy level, maybe to 200,000, so that we can resolve. I don't know how many properties are left or if you have done any further analysis on this, but I think we're probably due for another subsidy increase. And if our staff could just look at that and see if with the remaining properties, that would make sense.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner. Director Schuckman, do you have anything to add to that? Any thoughts about desire to raise the subsidy level?
Chair Tolbert, Commissioner Prince, we are currently doing sort of an analysis of the remaining Inspiring Communities inventory, taking a look at both development and site conditions, as well as policy goals, priorities in terms of income level and otherwise. And once we've sort of finalized what our recommendation for guidelines for the next RFP will be, we will come back to the HRA with a recommendation on subsidy cap. I do expect that it may make sense to increase it, both because we are, costs have increased. We've gone through the inventory that was easiest to develop first. And I think as we're looking to serve, low and moderate income borrowers in St. Paul, but housing prices have increased, there likely is a need to look at that cap. But we'll be back with a recommendation as part of our next Inspiring Communities RFP request to the HRA.
Great, thank you.
Commissioner Brenmo?
I would just add that I'm supportive of this resolution and was part of the effort to raise the limit back when Ms. Prince's properties came up because 150 just simply wasn't enough given the cost of purchasing. And then again, I think that what you just mentioned about as we go through the list, of course, we put everything out for an RFP, and the best, easiest to renovate properties get picked first, and the more challenging properties get left till the end. And we are really down to the end. I think that there's a very limited number of properties left, or of buildings left. It's mostly just land. I will say, as we move, I haven't paid attention to the inventory list lately. So I don't know exactly what is left on the list, but I will say that I do have I remain concerned about how much we put into any one individual property. I think that there's a few very weird kind of outliers left on the list that could be extremely expensive if we tried to renovate them back to historic levels or what have you. So I would agree that it's time to raise the limit of the subsidy from 175 to 200, and I would support an initiative to do that. But I also would still remain concerned about kind of an upper ceiling on how much I think that the Inspiring Communities program should be spent on refurbishing homes to some historic preservation standards as part of an affordable housing initiative.
Understood.
Thank you. Any further comments or questions? Councilmember Jalali?
Thanks. Sorry, there's some sirens going by too. So I appreciate the last of those comments, Council President Brenmo, and I wanted to get an understanding that if approved, the affordable home ownership rate for these homes, what would it actually be then? Like, just so that I can understand in everyday terms, if the idea is that we're rehabbing single family homes to make them affordable, like what will they likely be valued at? Like if you wanted to buy this house, how much would it cost?
Director Schuckman, can you answer that question?
Chair Tolbert, Commissioner Jalali, the Inspiring Communities program can, I believe the guidelines can go up to 115% AMI, which is approximately for a family of 4, about 115,000. We typically restrict at that level or a little bit deeper at 80% AMI to increase affordability to more moderate income buyers in this program. So especially where there's federal funds, sometimes 80% AMI is required. Where there's state funds, 115% AMI is allowed. So the income level of the buyers would be between 80% and 115%. The homes themselves would sell at market rates. And so that's where there could, to the extent we deepen affordability in the future, there could be a need for more subsidy.
Okay, thank you. That's helpful to know. I appreciate it.
Thanks. All right. Well, we look forward to seeing the further policy regarding these homes in general. So, if there's no further comments or questions, I think Commissioner Brenmoen made a motion to approve this item. All right. Roll call.
Brenmoen.
Aye.
Jalali.
Aye.
Naker.
Aye.
Prince.
Aye.
Tao.
Aye.
Yang.
Aye.
Chair Tolbert.
Yes.
7 in favor, no one opposed. The resolution is adopted. Item number 4, Resolution 20-1503, approving and authorizing the establishment of the Snelling Midway Renewal and Renovation Tax Increment Financing District, a renewal and renovation district, in the St. Paul Neighborhood Redevelopment Project area, and adopting tax increment financing plan, therefore, and approving an HRA budget amendment, District 13, Ward 1.
Director Goodman.
Yes, thank you, Chair Tolbert and Commissioners. The requested board action is authorization to approve the establishment of that district. The master plan for the site envisions a mixed-use, transit-oriented urban village with high-quality architecture, well-designed public spaces, diverse housing opportunities, and a vibrant local economy. The action today is not a new effort, but a statutorily required technical action and the next step in work that began in 2017 toward a possible creation of a TIF district on this site. The 2017 work included findings of substandard buildings and the execution of a demolition agreement prior to the demolition of those buildings. The demolition of the buildings commenced on November 13th, 2017, which by statute results in the deadline for a request for certification no later than November 13th. In order to meet that deadline, this approval is requested today. The approval of the TIF district preserves a tool for the possible use of public investment to support the city's values in the development of the site, such as the inclusion of affordable housing. This action does not constitute a commitment for TIF assistance to any developer or project. And before TIF assistance would be granted to any developer for any project in this TIF district, a TIF request would go through the HRA's vetting process and thereafter be presented to this board for approval in the form of a development agreement. Staff recommends approval of this item.
Thank you. Any comments or questions? Commissioner Tao and Commissioner Jalali, I see both. Right, Commissioner.
Thank you, Chair Tolbert. I'm going to be in support of this. This is a difficult time for our city and our nation, and I want to preserve this TIF district to send a message to the development community that, St. Paul is a great place to do business. We are inviting you by allowing these tools, and this is just an extension of the tools that we previously have. And so we keep our eyes on the prize, and part of that prize is to have affordable housing in this district, is to have equitable build out in this district, and this to allow us to bring the developer, the common interests of the developer and the city together to create these sort of equitable outcomes. And so that is why I am going to be a supporter of this. And I remember 20% of the TIF is we can use that 20% to do other types of development or subsidize other type of development on that district. And so I would love to have your support on that. And thank you for Dr. Direct. I keep calling you Doctor. Director Goodman, for your work and your staff. We've been briefed several times on this, and this is the third report that I have on this, and so I really appreciate your team's effort.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you very much, Commissioner.
Commissioner Jalali.
Thank you. Thank you for those supportive comments, Commissioner Tao, and I'll be supporting as well. I am looking at the project map area that shows much of the Green Line corridor that runs through Ward 4 and also Ward 1 as places where we could use TIF increment to benefit that community. And I think that's really important because we're trying to develop equitably. We're trying to actually get deeper affordability out of the development that is happening. And we want to subsidize the community benefits that people highly expect to come from any resulting development around the stadium site. And so I think it's important to reinforce and just mention that this isn't a commitment to any kind of TIF. It isn't any authorization of usage of TIF. It is preserving the chance to do that should this project evolve and the city be able to get our residents the benefits we want out of such development. So in order to keep that option on the table, I will be supporting this reauthorization today. I appreciate the work that has gone into assembling this, given that also there have been so many recent challenges that our shared neighborhoods, Councilmember Tao and I represent, given everything that the pandemic has brought, civil unrest and everything else. We'll continue working hard with community to shape this.
Great. Thank you both. And I would agree. The one thing I would add is, first of all, I'm supportive of this, is as we learned, and we did something very similar on the Ford site early on in the process, that TIF state statute guidelines and their time, the TIF state statute timeline isn't always on par or at the same timeline as legitimate development potential guidelines or market guidelines. So this is saves the tool in the tool belt, one of the few that we have when we're doing development. And I think any developer would know this isn't us saying this TIF is available. This is us saying we're preserving this so that we can be ready to help push forward the things that we want. And you still need to come prove to us and show us any request for TIF that would be required. You need to do the work, and it needs to be for public use as we usually require. So that's what I would say is I think this is a great hold, basically, but not a promise. And I think developers, I hope, hear that too. So, all right. Any other comments or questions? Otherwise, I'll take a motion from Commissioner Jalali and Commissioner Tao. Roll call.
Grenmoen.
Aye.
Jalali.
Aye.
Naker.
Aye.
Prince.
Aye.
Tao.
Aye.
Yang.
Aye.
Chair Tolbert.
Yes.
7 in favor, no one opposed. The resolution is adopted. Item number 5, Resolution 20-1492, authorizing a loan of up to $80,000 from the HRA Business Assistance Fund to 5 Star Cafe LLC, 2469 West 7th Street, District 15, Ward 3.
Dr. Goodman.
Yes, thank you, Chair Tolbert, Commissioners. This item and the following item are loans funded with our HRA Business Assistance Fund. As you know, we consider the Business Assistance Fund to sort of be our funding of last resort for projects that we'd like to support and for which there is support from a council member. It's our least restrictive money. It's a fund for which there is no ongoing replenishment source, unlike STAR or CDBG, for example. So we look to it for projects that are missing out on STAR funding or can't easily meet the requirements for CDBG. Because it doesn't have an ongoing replenishment source, we do try to structure the deals as loans to the greatest extent possible in order to revolve the money, recycle those funds back into the program over time. So the first item is to authorize an $80,000 loan to 5 Star Cafe. 5 Star Cafe serves East African cuisine, also serves as a gathering place for a diverse community of immigrants, also has special attraction for and a history of sponsoring events of Ethiopian and Eritrean soccer teams. The business has been open for 7 years. It's been owned by the Teckle brothers for the past 3. It's in the emerging and designated cultural destination area, commonly referred to as Shepherd, West 7th, and Davern. It's one of at least 3 East African restaurants in the area and is in the surrounding neighborhood is home to many East African immigrants. The restaurant is regionally recognized by the East African community. And the family has been working for over 2 years to renovate the restaurant. They plan to expand the kitchen, install a hood, upgrade the dining room, install new flooring, ceiling, lights. They have several goals for the renovation. We'll be expanding menu options throughout the day, continuing to meet the substantial demand right now for takeout and pickup. And also in the future, they would like to be able to host larger groups for special events. So staff does recommend approval of this item.
Any comments or questions? If not, I would speak in support of it. This is a wonderful restaurant on the West 7th quarter right at Shepherd Davern. And it's obviously before COVID, it was more people could come into one place at one time, but it's still a great meeting place and a great asset to our community along West 7th and Highland Park. And I would request everybody's support. So. With that, I will make a motion. Roll call.
Brenmoen.
Aye.
Jalali.
Aye.
Naker.
Aye.
Prince.
Aye.
Tao.
Aye.
Yang.
Aye.
Chair Tolbert.
Yes.
7 in favor, no one opposed. The resolution is adopted. Item number 6, Resolution 20-1493, authorizing a loan up to $70,000 from the HRA Business Assistance Fund to Papa Legba, LLC, 202 Cesar Chavez Street, District 3, Ward 2.
Director Gooden?
Yes, thank you, Chair Tolbert. Commissioners, this is the other loan from the HRA Business Assistance Fund. Dolly and Greg Agnew plan to acquire and rehab the now vacant Cozy Cantina into Papa Legba's Lounge. The renovation will include a new bar top, flooring, remodeling the bathrooms, kitchen upgrade, new furnishings, artwork on the inside and painting, new awnings, and uncovering the original windows on the outside. They also plan to refinish the parking lot and create an outdoor seating space behind the building. The property is in a significant location. It's the last building on the east end of the commercial district, could potentially control through traffic in the parking lot, and has not been maintained or enhanced like other properties in the area. The Agnews believe as a highly visible present the Agnews believe that as highly visible and present owner operators, they will help strengthen the neighborhood. They have letters of support and financial commitments from the Westside Community Organization, African Economic Development Solutions, and the Metropolitan Economic Development Association. Staff recommends approval of this item. I believe that Dolly Agnew is here if there are any questions as well. And yep, staff recommends approval.
Great. Any comments or questions? Commissioner Naker?
Thanks, Chair Tolbert. I'm just wondering if it would be possible for Ms. Etheridge to just talk a little bit about what the concept is. I really appreciate her taking the time to be here.
Ms. Etheridge, welcome.
Hi. Thank you. The concept is that my husband and I, we love live music. And so it's a small establishment, and so it's extremely feasible for us. And so we want to offer individuals in the St. Paul and surrounding communities an opportunity to come in and listen to music from legends of the past. And so we will only offer music of individuals that have passed on. And so it's a very unique concept. We've been in the area quite frequently. We believe in it. And it's just something that we are extremely passionate about. And as I expressed before, it's something that we were willing to go in alone. And so we're gonna make it happen. And I want it to be a partnership, right? With the city of St. Paul, with us, and the Cozy Cantina will no longer exist. And so we've already started to rehab. And so it's gonna happen. And so we welcome individuals, and so we want to be a part. And so we've visited businesses there, and we've attended West Coast meetings, and we're just extremely passionate about it.
Great, thank you. Commissioner Naker?
Thanks, Chair Tolbert. I want to thank Dolly so much, Ms. Etheridge so much for being here and for your persistence and I would say your bravery in pursuing this dream, even during this unbelievably hard time. And I know you and I have been in touch a number of times, and I just really admire how you have stuck to this vision through thick and thin. So excited to reach this point. I'm going to speak in favor of this motion. I think this is going to be an incredible amenity to the West Side. We've needed a strong business and a responsible business owner in this area for quite some time. And I didn't think the West Side could get any classier, but I do think it's about to with the addition of Papa Legba's. So I'm very excited to support the motion.
Great, thank you. Any other comments or questions? If not, motion to approve by Commissioner Naker. Roll call.
Brenmoen.
Aye.
Jalali.
Aye.
Naker.
Aye.
Prince.
Aye.
Tao.
Aye.
Yang.
Aye.
Chair Tolbert.
Yes.
7 in favor, no one opposed. The resolution is adopted.
All right. That brings us to the end of the HRA. Is there anything else? If not, we are adjourned. See everybody at 3:30.
Thank you.